Alone is almost the words all one. Everyone's a reflection anyways, right? Everything is God, divine, the universe, love, energy, Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it. At the deepest levels, we really are already alone. Welcome back to another episode of Into the Vortex with Aaron Doughty. In this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 ways in which your shadow, which is the unconscious part of yourself, is blocking love from coming into your life. And here's the crazy thing about it. You probably don't even know it. You may be like, well, I want love. I want to attract a loving connection, relationship into my life, but I'm not sure what I am doing wrong or what I'm doing to actually block it. Well, every one of us has what is called a shadow. The shadow is the unconscious part of ourselves. It is the part of ourselves that we're not aware of many times, which has been formed from early childhood or from different decisions or meanings we gave to ourselves that have been just simply on autopilot. And until we become aware of these aspects of our shadow, they continue to run our life. And in this episode, what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you 3 ways in which your shadow may be blocking love into your life. This is something that's very common. Share with you a little bit of my journey through this process. And in a way, we do a vibrational tune-up so that by the end of this episode, you're much more aligned and you understand practically what you must do to attract love. I'm going to flip the script on you a little bit too, because a lot of this and a lot of the fear of not attracting love is actually based in a false premise. This is something that I've been recently becoming aware of because so many people, it's almost like when you go to a doctor and at the doctor's office, you're like, well, how do I get rid of this? And this thing that you want to get rid of, let's say it's some type of side effect that is coming from something. So you go to the doctor for this, they give you a prescription drug, and now you got to treat the prescription drug side effects. When instead, if you were to get to the core and not treat the symptoms, you were to get to the cause, you can then cause that thing to stop. But because many times we are chasing love, we are chasing somebody else or a loving connection, it undermines the whole premise of understanding what are we really afraid of. And that's been an epiphany in my own life in the last actually couple of weeks. I have something called I always say it like it's some official thing. I have a shadow work integration coach, all right? This guy's got like a double PhD. Not that he has to have a double PhD for me to work with him, but he's somebody that studies Carl Jung psychology. Basically, all he does is he creates a safe container where we talk for an hour a week, and he helps me almost say and become aware of these different patterns in my life that I was prior unaware of. And it's been life-changing. And because I become aware of patterns of why I am or was the way I was, and I'm becoming aware of this transition that I'm going through in my life right now. And a lot of what I do on this channel or in this podcast, whatever, is I want to share with you my journey through this, so hopefully that can be a reflection for you so that you can go through something similar without having to pay a whole bunch of money for very high-end coaching, like what I'm doing right now. So first off, let me share with you one of the first ways in which your shadow may be blocking love from coming into your life. And the first way that I want to share has to do with your sense of safety. Has to do with your sense of safety and your ego. And what is safe for your ego? Now, your shadow will have you believe and be attracted to people that reenact childhood wounds and traumas within yourself, and then you'll look at that and be like, whoa, we have this spiritual deep connection. And a lot of times what happens is if it's based in trauma and it's an unhealthy relationship, And then you find it's hard to let go of somebody that you were with. Many times what that is that's an activation, a trigger of a childhood wound. And it happens all of the time when people have that urge to feel safe and they don't realize. Let me give you an example of how this worked for me. So I've shared this a couple times now, so it might be a little bit repetitive for some of you. But this also caused a depolarization of my own sexual polarity in a way, or the kind of woman that I would attract into my life were a reflection of this imbalance of sexual polarity, I guess you could say. So for example, the level of safety with the ego. So my childhood, many of you know, if you've been listening to me for a while, but between the ages of 7 to 16 years old, I had the abusive ex-stepmom in my life. She was controlling, manipulative. My brother and I had almost zero freedom. We weren't allowed to have friends. We weren't allowed to watch TV. We had to sneak the food that we wanted to eat. We were given a bowl of cereal in the morning and TV dinner at night. And basically our whole entire lives were controlled. When she and my dad went to work, my dad's a firefighter, so he was home sometimes, wasn't home the other times. He kind of let her run the show. And we were brainwashed to not want to be around our real mom. So really, that's all that we had from 7 to 16 years old. We'd be locked out of the house, normally doing yard work all day, not allowed to, really be inside. Sometimes we'd find ways inside by leaving windows unlocked and stuff. And if we ever wanted to watch TV, what we would have to do is sneak into the house. One of us would watch TV. The other one would be on the lookout by a window. We'd have a remote control, and one of our fingers would be on the previous channel on the remote so that if somebody came home, we could push previous channel. So I went back to the channel it was on so nobody knew what channel we were on. Then what we did is we would then run outside and continue to work. And that was kind of just to kind of paint a picture of the kind of, and we get in trouble for things we didn't do. I'd have to admit to doing things I didn't do in order to go to school activities. We'd get school taken away from us. Once she figured out that my brother and I liked Harry Potter, we got Harry Potter books taken away from us. That's why I think I feel such a connection to Harry Potter, because it was like a luxury for me growing up. But as crazy as all of this sounds, and I know people have been through way worse as well, so I'm not trying to pitch some sob story at all. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me in the sense that I think it led later on to my spiritual awakening. But here's what happened. Here's what I remember. After that of the 16 years old comes around, my dad divorces her. I have all this freedom. I'm allowed to watch TV. I'm allowed to have friends. I don't have to earn going to school activities. I'm allowed to eat the kind of food that I want in the proportions that I want. So my brother and I started to look healthy. We were allowed to play video games. It was a whole new world. But there was a lot of anxiety that came with that. When you're in a box and then you break out of the box, it can be kind of fearful. As horrible as it was being around the ex-stepmom, there was a creepy sense of safetiness with that. At least I knew every day that even though we weren't allowed to watch TV, we weren't allowed to do this, I felt safe. I felt safe in that energy because there was a sense of certainty there. And I remember part of me, I've always been able to relate to people what's called Stockholm Syndrome, when people almost feel a sense of familiarity and comfortability with people that abuse them. Not that I'm saying I haven't had to really talk to my ex-stepmom at all since then, even though I have sisters that's their real mom, half-sisters that's their real mom. But I see how that can go, because I remember feeling even though I had no freedom at all, there was a sense of safety that came with the ex-stepmom situation. And now this anxiety, it doesn't feel so comfortable. So here's the pattern that began that I was not aware of at the time. It's my shadow that's kind of bringing me the situations. After that, first girlfriend. I know I've shared this story many times. So I know that, by the way, when I share stories repetitively, I know that they're repetitive. But nonetheless, it's painting the picture of this point. So when it comes to the first girlfriend I attracted, she wasn't she wasn't abusive, but she was jealous and controlling. And that was a familiar pattern. That familiar pattern felt, in a weird, twisted way, good, but really it felt familiar. was with her for 4 years. Broke up with her. Was working at Nordstrom's and women's shoes. Got transferred to a better shoe department. In this better shoe department, within 2 weeks of breaking up with the ex, I then get a better department that's where I'm making more money, but the manager of that department is literally a clone of my ex-stepmom. Then she was in my life. And the pattern that I found myself in with love relationships or bosses was that I would always attract a very controlling boss that helped me to feel safe in the old energy of the stepmom situation. So basically what happened is I was recreating out of a sense of familiarity the same situations over and over and over again, not knowing that that was my shadow that was doing it. So the other side of this is because here's the kicker, I wasn't feeling safe in my own frame, and because I wasn't safe in my own frame, I'd find people to where I could become part of their frame. I would give up my sense of identity to feel safe and for something to feel familiar. In that sense of control, it felt familiar. And that's why I kept attracting the same pattern over and over again. Now here's the thing with masculine and feminine energy. Part of masculine energy is holding a container where then the feminine can feel safe. So I find that I would attract girlfriends into my life that had masculine wounds in the same way I had feminine wounds, that then what would happen is we were both depolarized in a way. In Carl Jung psychology, they call this also the anima and the animus. The men go through the animus, where they go into their feminine to heal it. The women go through their anima, which is their masculine, to heal it. I believe maybe it's switched, but that's the idea. And when they go into it, it's going into it to heal it. It's going into it to integrate it. And this year for me has been a year of me really integrating that side of myself, but also realizing that as I healed the feminine wound, it allows me to go more so into the safetiness of my own frame. This is a clip from the Daily Vortex Podcast, where I post 2 times a week, and we go really deep on understanding consciousness, understanding how to raise our vibration, how to bring these spiritual concepts down to earth in a relatable and practical way. For the whole entire episode, you can click the link below, but also subscribe to that of the Daily Vortex Podcast on either iTunes or Spotify. That's where there are a backlog of over 100 episodes, plus the whole entire episode length is there. On this channel, you will only be seeing clips moving forward. So if you want the whole episodes, you can click the link below. You can subscribe. They're also very easy to listen to. They're automatically downloaded once you subscribe, plus you'll never miss an episode. So this is where most of my intention is and my energy is going these days, and I look forward to bringing you many more amazing episodes. But for the rest of this episode, you can click below and you can subscribe to the Daily Vortex Podcast, and I look forward to helping you expand your consciousness in a very practical and relatable way. So I'll see you on the next episode, and as always, peace, much love, and namaste.